It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
So, welcome to Nerd Breaking News. Disney, what are you doing? Star Wars is just in shambles. Let's talk about that. And we'll start it off over here introducing the kid. We have the Eagle and the Professor once again for these talks. So, kid, what's going on?
Well, let's go back a little bit of a history lesson, if we will. Lucas prequels comes out, and it's fun to bash the movies until 2005, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. I've been saving this for this video. I believe episode 1 should have been episode 3. If episode 3, the story or similar story with Anakin and all that stuff, was episode 1 in 1999, we have a different Star Wars than we have now. If you start off with Anakin in his second or third year under Obi-Wan, and you start off the first movie in that, and then the second movie is literally Revenge of the Sith in the next hour, it would have been right when The Empire Strikes Back as the greatest Star Wars movie ever. But anyway, that's just the beginning. Then what happens? He sold it to Disney. Disney does what they do, right? They're the greatest company in the world. They're going to make money outside of Apple, and it is what it is. Timeline is 2015. Some of us were already in law school, but it is what it is. December of 2015. Everybody's excited for A New Hope Awakens. Everybody. The trailers were fire. Kylo Ren looked cool in the snow. The movie comes out, and at the time, it was overwhelmingly positive. For the few Star Wars logical reasoners like us, we were like, wait a minute, this is a copy and paste. And we didn't wait 30 years for a copy and paste. Then Rian Johnson decides to literally stick a lightsaber in front of every damn fan of Star Wars and ruins the GOAT, Luke Skywalker. Once you ruin Luke Skywalker, I personally couldn't care less about the Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian gave it temporarily, you know what? And Rogue One gave them, you know what? We're good. Let's back. It's kind of like being one of these fans of the team that always loses. You know, this is the year. Hopefully, we come back. And then,
And they had
and I know
great
Jay,
success with Rogue One.
and I know that Jay's going to say this later, and I'm going to agree with him for the most part. The I can't ever pronounce her name, Jay. The series now,
Okay.
I can never pronounce her name. Great show, but that doesn't make up for the Book of Boba Fett, the Han Solo movie, the last Star Wars movie that I refused to see, the Rise of Skywalker. It's beyond trash. How do you ruin Darth Maul again? But anyways, even Glover, the guy who played Lando, even he couldn't save this movie. Star Wars has been hitting. Disney Star Wars has not been hitting the ball way more times than they are hitting the ball. And one series currently now can change the fact that people are been tuned out of Star Wars, even though the end of the day, we all grew up with it, we all love it. We all have my first memories were episode 4 watching it on TBS TNT back in the day. We all love it. So we all have a special memories and feelings of these things. We all love Star Wars. It's a beautiful story. I just think that unfortunately the writers did too many mistakes with the Disney sequels outside of Rogue One. And now they're trying so hard to catch back up to what kind of like redeeming the fans and say, hey, listen, the series now going on. Can I ever pronounce your name? It's a great show. It's a great series. But it's Disney needs to do more. And I end it with this. Disney needs to do a hell of a lot more to redeem itself since 2015. Because again, it's not about Rey being a girl that annoys us. I don't care about that. I don't think nobody really cares about that. Good for her. She's a girl. Awesome. Leia was a badass. The girl from Rogue One, she was a badass. It's not about being a girl. It's the fact that she Rosetta Stone the Force when everybody and their mother had to struggle, including Anakin, who was literally born from the Force. It wasn't like Anakin was like 10 years old in episode 1. He was doing backflips. He still had to get trained by a formal Jedi. That's what ruined Star Wars. It's the fact that when we saw this girl do the Jedi mind tricks in The New Force Awakens, whoo! And by the way, hot take, Finn should have been a Jedi.
Yeah, and talking
Yeah.
about Finn, that battle that he had with the lightsabers, that should have never happened. Not at all. That was just, it made no sense that he would be able to wield it. And then when Ray picked it up, to be able to go up against him again, that should have never happened too. That was my turning point right there. Eagle, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I agree with the kid. There's definitely a state of, I don't know what to call it, to be honest, of the situation that Disney has put Star Wars, the franchise, but not only Star Wars. Let's just say how it is. Disney. I would like to take this. They're not going to hear me. They're not listening to the fans clearly because of all the products that they're putting out. It's not resonating with the audience. Okay, and there's a lot of content that they're putting out there that they're trying to update to the new times. We're seeing a lot of the movies from the animated movies from the 1990s that they brought back, and they just, according to them, it's small changes, but at the end of the day, clearly deviated from the original story from the animated movies. And then they put, their touch, their Disney touch, and it hasn't resonated with the audience at all. And specifically with Star Wars, what's going on? I agree with the kid. I believe that Star Wars right now is some life support. Okay, it's clearly surviving because of the nostalgia of the first six movies, the first two trilogies, um, and because we're hopefuls, we're waiting for Disney to actually bring it back and do right by us. Okay, the fans, the ones who put up the money, who actually go to the movie theater and go to the parks and waste all their money on them and on things like this. Okay, like we're waiting for you guys to give us something back because literally we're wasting our money right now. Shut up, BB-8. Anyways, what happened in Osaka is just horrible. I think this is my way of introducing the topic. If you guys want to chime in, go ahead. But the fact that this girl, the Padawan, was clearly struck with a lightsaber. Okay, we don't know exactly where. I guess it was between, I don't know, her left side, right down here. Okay, maybe some through her stomach. Maybe, who knows? But clearly, in the same episode, at least two people died from a lightsaber being stuck through their body. Okay, and this girl, out of nowhere, she just basically survived. And then, within only one episode, which she was already well and getting ready to continue her training as a Padawan
Yeah,
into her
he's all right.
Jedi world. Okay, so obviously, sorry if that was a spoiler
Yeah,
for the
and
guys who are
that sword
watching.
stayed there for a long, long time too. Like you could definitely watch the entire trilogies, and be able to still see that thing there. This
That's
girl went on
true.
a
It was
break, came back, clocked out, enjoyed her weekend, returned, and she was just still there with a lightsaber still in her. It makes no sense.
right. So clearly, we're going from the lightsaber, which was possibly next to um, being a Jedi or a Sith or
As
whatever.
hotter
The,
than the
the
sun.
hotter than the sun. It was the dangerous weapon ever. And out of nowhere, you can survive being struck by a lightsaber.
They did.
Listen, man, clearly something is wrong. And the worst thing about it, they didn't tell us about it, okay? They just didn't tell us, and they refused to explain it within the episode itself. Okay, she got hit in the next episode. She's all alive and well, and she just gets the patch taken out. She's like, "Oh, at least she had a scar. Thank God she had a scar because I thought she was going to be rejuvenating the damn cells of her body." For a second, I thought, you know what? Maybe this is not Star Wars. Maybe this is something else. You know what? I digress. I put it out there. It is what it is. It's not in a good state. It is what it is.
Love the rant, by the way. Love that rant.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, here's
Go
my
for
thing.
it. Go for it, bro.
So I think that what happens is whenever Disney acquires something and it doesn't work out the way that we expected, the way that we tend to put it is they Disneyfied it. And Disneyfying something tends to be synonymous with making it worse, right? But the reality of Star Wars, though, is Star Wars, Disney didn't really put their Disney formula into Star Wars. If that was the case, Rey would be a princess. There'd be some kind of like they didn't do any of that stuff. So that's not exactly what happened there. What happened, I think, is a lot more simple. They hired the wrong person. So when you're looking at The Force Awakens, they hired the wrong director. They hired J.J. Abrams, but they didn't think about it. What J.J. Abrams is really, really good at is putting a whole bunch of mysteries in things, like Lost. Have you all seen Lost? What is the criticism with the end of Lost? That half of what you thought was going to matter didn't matter at all. Surprise, surprise, he did it to Star Wars too. So the issue is J.J. Abrams inserted his Lost formula into Star Wars. The next mistake was Disney went ahead and they had this idea that each Star Wars movie was going to have a different director, remember? And what they tried to do is they tried to have them all write the scripts at the exact same time. Well, how is Rian Johnson going to write a script that matches what J.J. Abrams was doing when J.J. Abrams himself doesn't even know what he's doing? How do you make that work? You can't. The problem is that once they signed up for that deal, they destroyed it. And the third one had no chance. So much so they had to fire the guy before we even got to see what he worked on and get J.J. Abrams to go back and answer his own questions. And guess what? He couldn't even do it. So my point there is it's not a Disney issue. It's a J.J. Abrams issue. And I think we have to put that on the side by itself. You then look at the rest of their work. You know, with Han Solo, totally agree. Didn't see it, against it, don't want to. You look at The Mandalorian. Mandalorian worked well. We got Grogu, we got Din Djarin. You know you got a Mandalorian toy in there somewhere. You know you got a toy in there somewhere.
I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They went ahead and they did that. You got the Chow / Grogu. They sold us the same toy twice with two different names, okay? Mission accomplished. So we know that happened. Season 3, we could say was kind of but what was season 3? It was an Ahsoka pilot, and it was a Boba Fett pilot. How's the Ahsoka show going? Very well. We'll get there in a minute. Boba Fett, I concede, not good. Why they make that? Probably because they know, listen, pandemic coming, we got a green light, something, we don't know what we gonna do. Have some content out there, bada bing, bada boom. And then how'd that show end? What was it? Another Mandalorian pilot. Did we not like how Boba Fett ended? Yes, we did like it. Because why? It was the next season of Mandalorian, and we enjoyed it. We can't forget that part. I'm just saying. So now you go to Ahsoka. To your all's point, this lady survives a lightsaber. But my point to you all is that's the way it has to work for any of this to make sense. Remember X-Men? Remember how when you were a kid, there was a whole big debate about Cyclops' little lasers? Are they laser beams? Are they optic blasts? What are they? Guess what? As much as they might look like laser beams, they can't be. Because if you let him be that, the story doesn't work. He'd be zapping through everything. Everybody would be dead all the time. No one would survive a single hit. Lightsabers are the exact same thing. If that thing is as hot as the sun, you can't have lightsaber duels. You can't have anyone else fighting a lightsaber with anything. You can't have the story be bigger than it actually is. It's a change to the story, I concede, but I think it's necessary. Otherwise, Finn can't be alive, can he? No, that don't make any sense. He got hit with the sun in his back. He should be like this forever. That doesn't work. Like half these characters should be dead 20 times over. The old lightsaber way of doing things doesn't work, so they had to change it. And at the end of the day, we'll applaud that change as we get more and more lightsaber duels. That's my 10 cents on everything. Disney Star Wars, I'm okay with it.
Oh.
Do we need more lightsaber battles?
Wow. So
Yes.
we have a counter on that.
We
do.
No, we don't. There's a reason why outside of Kylo's, how cool it looks in the woods when he does his half-made lightsaber that he never clearly finished. There's a reason why we recall and we have such reverence to certain aspects of lightsabers in the original 6 films. When Darth Maul, that door opened, and Darth Maul shows up and he's fighting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, that's an historic moment. Everybody and their mother was waiting to see that fight. And what was the coolest part of the fight? The lightsaber of not only Darth Maul, but the lightsaber that he has. The first time we've ever seen that. What was the coolest thing about Episode 5? Outside of it's probably one of the greatest sequels ever. It's the end. It's the famous battle between Luke and Vader. Episode 6, Episode 4. I didn't get it. Technology wasn't around as big as it was today. I think another issue as well, like to what Ye was arguing. If Finn, who has no training whatsoever, can pick up a lightsaber and go against those stormtroopers that has an electric sticks thing, and actually by pure brute force with no training successfully defend himself, then
Mhm.
that's insulting the Jedi Order in the last 1,000 years of everybody who's done it. If Rey can mop Kylo, and she did, and by the way, in every single movie, if she did, then that diminishes Kylo Ren, because Kylo Ren was literally a kid who has not only his mom, but his grandpa and his uncle is the essence of the damn 6 films. It's the Skywalkers. And so Rey picked it up and literally gave them a scar that should have killed him, but because it's Disney Star Wars, it's fine. It's but a scratch. The girl who got stabbed in the chest, the Raul was arguing that she literally could have done Uber Eats during all that time. The next episode is but a scratch. It's all right. It's fine. We kill you. We conveniently kill you when we want to, and we conveniently not kill you when we want to. As opposed to the original 6, there was limbs. There was people. You felt the impact of a lightsaber in the original 6 films. Disney Star Wars. Go ahead. I'll let you go with this, Jay. Disney Star Wars. It's fine. It's whatever. It's whatever the story says it is. If the story is going to be like that, for example, Finn literally, again, guys, you guys rewatched this last week or so. The lightsaber slashes. It wasn't a little thing. It slashes his back.
Yes.
Outside of amazing healthcare by the First Order, he's done.
HMO. So, I agree with 99% of what you said. Here's where I'm going with it, though, because there's an area where we might actually
1%.
agree. This was 1% there. Your point about the entire fight between Finn, Rey, and Kylo Ren, none of that makes sense. None of it makes sense. But here's my point. The majority of instances with lightsabers in Star Wars don't make sense either. It's just that what happens is that we look past some of these lightsaber duels and we forget about how much we actually don't see, for one. Then all these instances of lightsabers and the droids throughout all these movies, we forget about how terrible all of that looked. When you're looking at the entire history of Star Wars, the entire history of lightsabers in Star Wars, in those 6 movies, most people only really mention or remember about 4 instances. The rest you delete from your mind. No one mentions the Grievous fight with Obi-Wan. That is on no one's top anything list. Because when you were a kid, you looked at it, you were like, that looks kind of off. All those fights with Obi-Wan and the droids, looks kind of off. The fight between Count Dooku and Anakin, looks kind of off. The majority of them, really, the Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader fights, no one cites those. They just don't work. They don't work.
That's no one cites the fight between Episode 5, I Am Your Father.
I would definitely, in terms of actual quality of, not really. The ones that we did as kids was more exciting than what we got in those movies. We were over here as kids.
No, I disagree. Everybody tried when they saw Episode 1. Everybody and their mother tried that double lightsaber thing. And then
Episode 1, yes.
And then when everybody tried when we saw Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, that unnecessary 15-minute battle, which should have been 5 minutes, but whatever.
You're citing the same ones I was thinking. Those are the good ones. Exactly.
Correct, but I'm connecting to what you're saying. You're only referring to the actual, I guess, aesthetic ability of a lightsaber battle. Nobody's arguing that Episode 4, 2 old men with bad knees are fighting in the Death Star. Nobody really cares about that. That was a very, and you could tell the technology, but you could tell the difference of 77 and 80. The Empire Strikes Back was more clearer lightsaber battle. But to your point, it wasn't. But remember, at the same time, think about it for a second. Vader's 75% machine.
Yeah.
Luke got a week of training. Mm-hmm. So are we really expecting Luke to go out there and be like, all right, he's gonna do back? Go look at Revenge. But go look at Episode 6. Go look at Episode 6.
They were also in a very enclosed place. They were in a close place too.
Same thing with Episode 6.
What I'm saying is the quality of what you saw in the majority of those movies is not all that great compared to what we all do messing around with our friends with our little lightsaber sticks. We've only ever saw something on that level in those 6 movies 2 or 3 times.
And that's because of technology, not because of anything else. Technology allowed
Let's
fights
go
to
to
be
episode 1. Remember that first fight between Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul that you literally only saw 5 seconds of?
in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
Mhm.
cites that one because it was whack. Remember what else? Remember the Count Dooku versus Anakin fight? They had the first one. They had plenty of technology. They cut that whole fight because it was whack. Remember the second fight between Count Dooku and Anakin, where they fast forwarded through half of that one too, because it was whack. The majority of them, they're just not that good. There are great ones too, but in the whole math of Star Wars, of every time you've seen that thing go,
Could I counter with how cool Obi-Wan looked in the rain in episode 2?
yeah, that was awesome.
Far and few between. Far and few between.
Remember when Mace Windu cut Jango Fett's head off, and we were all like, "Oh, that's it."
Remember the time that
Oh,
Bobby
damn.
There's a lot of evidence of it just not being that jam.
I don't know. Eagle, you got anything to say on that? The lightsaber aspect?
I don't know, because I think we don't have a conclusion at this. Like, do we really want more lightsaber, fights or not? On my end, I'll say
Well,
this.
that was the argument that we were making earlier. Is it really the lightsabers that's what we really attracted to? Is this the reason why we're seeing an increase of them popping up on the shows now?
I think
And
there's different
you
there's
called it,
different ways,
Professor. Your own answer. Yeah,
but there's different ways, right? People are
exactly.
attracted to the franchise for different reasons, right? And I guess when we were younger, kids, we saw the lightsabers, and to us, that was Star Wars alone, right? We were waiting for the moment where the good and the evil will face each other, and they would fight with a lightsaber because that was the new thing. No, it was amazing. But as you grow up, and some other fans were interested in some other stuff, like we are right now. We're interested in the use of the Force and how you become a Jedi, and what was the purpose of becoming a Jedi? Well, the Republic and all of that. So there's different stages of how we fall in love with the franchise, and I think that maybe Disney's looking at it that way and basically saying, in order for new Star Wars fans, right, to come in, right? I guess that's the point that the professor's trying to make, is that we're gonna have to dial down a little bit, on the effect of what a
Exactly.
lightsaber can make, specifically fighting, and whether people can, you know, survive a lightsaber hit. Okay, and I
Otherwise,
guess
the
that was
show's over.
introduced in the last trilogy. Now,
Hmm.
what? Here's the counterpoint. The majority of people saw lightsaber as this amazing thing that once you had it, it was over. Whoever had it in their power, bro, listen, it's done. Finn fuck it up, and I'm sorry to say it. Finn did horrible in that movie, and I guess anyone can hold a lightsaber, and can clearly go against a descendant of the Skywalkers, and cleaning up at least for 2 seconds, okay? And that was wrong, and we all agree. So I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I don't know. I guess they have to strike a balance. They have to strike a balance, and I don't think that the balance they have right now is good because they just put it all the way at the bottom.
I have a
You can
question.
get hit by a lightsaber and you will recover.
I have a question for the group. So, would you all be interested in seeing stories where there are more light side groups and more dark side groups?
Yes.
So, for example, when you play the games, you know how you have like Dark Jedi, right? In the movies, you never had that. It's not even a thing. So for all the years that we played all these games, our first time ever getting a Dark Jedi is right now. For all intents and purposes, we never had it before. So the thing is, like, would you want more stories like that? And if you would, how would it work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you do it?
I think one, that's an amazing question. Two, I think we're living in the world of the last 15 years of everybody being an anti-hero. I think that's the cool thing, right? Deadpool, right? Everybody wants to be that. Hancock, everybody wants to be that. I guess I'm the reluctant hero kind of thing. So to answer your question, I think that's more interesting now because we're tired of seeing the good and the bad, right? The audience wants something different. But here's the thing I was gonna, I guess, push back on what you were saying, going back to the first thing. if everybody had the lightsaber, then nobody had the lightsaber.
That's
right?
real. That's true.
That's the problem. And I think the Disney Star Wars, think about it. What's the best Star Wars movie since 2005? Rogue One.
Yep.
And,
Yes.
and what was the best scene in the movie?
When they died in the end.
Darth Vader. Right?
That's
You didn't see a lightsaber
That's
the whole damn movie, with the exception of Donnie Yen having, thinking he's a Jedi. Apparently, he got kicked out for being a janitor, but whatever. With the exception of that, it was first of all, it was an amazing story, but it was a good almost 2-hour film. And then you got that scene, and it left you going like, I need to see episode 4 right now. Oh my god, because the less is better. And I know why Disney's doing that, Jay, because I think the argument is nostalgia and all that stuff. But hold on, before I go any further, what's the best scene of The Mandalorian, Jay?
The best in The Mandalorian?
In the history of The Mandalorian?
Season 1 or season 2 ending, is it?
In general, what's the best scene? No. Stop playing, Jay. Stop playing dumb.
No, I'm thinking about it.
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Actually,
Skywalker.
Every
Yes.
Twitter blew up.
Yes.
Everybody and their mother saying, you have to see this 5-minute scene when he comes in and he says, all right, I'm about to show people, the real Star Wars fans, on the books, I was mopping everybody.
right.
Did you see how effortlessly he was just destroying people? That's my Luke.
Yeah.
That's the Luke that I remember reading in the books that Disney doesn't want to canon
Disney said
anymore.
we apologize. Yes.
Correct. Again, there's a reason for that. And Mandalorian at that time, because I know season 3 is a little bit off, but Mandalorian at that time was still an amazing show. It was still great. But everybody saw the lightsaber.
Everyone was talking about it.
Less is more. The problem is with these shows, Jay, my bad, one last thing, Jay, is that the problem with these shows, I get it. The Padawans and the Masters and all that. And I get it. And the Inquisitors and all that. I get it. But when it's a little too much, it's not as special as it once was.
I 100% agree with you. My only thing is that if we keep it that way, there are certain stories that can't be told. Like you just can't do it. So the thing is, like, it's almost like when you're looking at Star Wars, they either have to make something that's a masterpiece, like, because when you look at the Mandalorian and Rogue One, those are masterpieces on their own. Those are great. You can put them in Marvel, DC, put them any universe you want. That is a win. But there are a whole other kind of stories, like Clone Wars, for example. Like you couldn't tell that kind of a story unless there were lightsabers everywhere, which is kind of why we got it in cartoon form rather than really in movie form, right? But the thing is, because of your inability to tell those kinds of stories, you can't go deeper into all these other groups and other ways of looking at it at all, which cuts off Disney Star Wars' ability to tell medium level stories. They essentially couldn't. Is what I'm saying. Are you
referring to? And that's a great point. But my bad, Ego. But are you referring to Knights of the Old Republic? If they ever were to do that,
they couldn't do any of that.
Here's listen. We went to law school. There's an exception to the general rule, right? There's an exception to the general rule. Everybody who knows Star Wars, who knows about Knights of the Old Republic, knows. Oh, you got to get your lightsaber there. Oh, you got to get it there.
Yeah.
But Jay, you can't have Finn pick it up, man. It's like that's like saying Paul Dameron. Hey, you know what? BB-8, I also have a lightsaber too. What? Paul Dameron?
Listen, we know the real reason why Finn picked up that lightsaber. We know the truth.
To give hope.
No, they're trying to get those black votes. That's what it is. I could say it. That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, they wanted people like me to be like, "Oh my god, a black Jedi! Let's go!" And then the movie, I was like, "What? He's not."
You had Samuel Jackson already.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened? They electrocuted my dude, sent him out a window. Is he dead? Is he alive? No one knows.
Jay, he died. Jay, no insurance coverage gonna cover that fall.
Bro, let me tell you, he jumped, he landed on a car, and he flipped himself over to another building, just like Jedi Survivor.
Is that before or after urgent care?
Possibly before.
But let me remind you, not only did he get electrocuted, which should have severely burned his skin, he also got his arm chopped off.
So did Anakin.
Correct. But Anakin was a chosen one. This guy was just a Jedi Master. He was just
super Jedi Master at that.
To your point, I think that Mace Windu got his character got destroyed. Because if you read his backstory, he's actually the greatest swordsman in that era.
Yep.
And to be honest, if
Mhm.
you rewatch that scene, he had the Emperor.
He did.
He had him.
He did.
He
You
did.
know,
Anakin was like, no.
we all took torch, Jay, right? But for Anakin,
Yep. Yep. But
I would
for
have
him.
had him. I would have had him. I would-
Yep.
but
Yep.
but again, the whole Finn thing, like you just said it gave hope and stuff. It wanted the black votes and stuff.
That's
Jay,
fine.
I disagree. Like, I don't want Paul Dameron picking up a lightsaber and he's Hispanic. I don't care.
Oh no, we don't disagree at all. I totally agree with you.
You're a
What is-
pilot. No, and not because he's Hispanic or anything. It's
Really?
because not because he's Hispanic. It's because the character, he is a pilot. He's not a Jedi trained guy to pick up a lightsaber. I don't care who it is, or whether it's Hispanic or not. I'm just saying the character of Paul Dameron, what you gave me movie, was he was a great pilot. Did you explain why he was a great pilot? No, just like to Raul's point. We're not going to explain that. We're just going to tell you that Paul, for example, the scene where Finn is fighting the guy in Mass Katana and all that scene. Who comes in the end to save everybody? Right on schedule, Paul Dameron. I'm like, come on, man. This is again.
Well, do you know why that is though? So what happened with the movie is he was supposed to die in the beginning of the movie when he crashed the X-wing, but then somebody realized, hey, we have Oscar Isaac on the cast. We should give him more things to do, and that's why he reappears because they wrote him in. They were like, where do we fit him in? They just stuck him in there. That's why.
And again, I like Oscar Isaac. I think he's a great actor. I just think that the Paul Dameron character, I think it would have been just like Ray and just like Finn in the sense like you just can't pick it up, man. Right? You just can't pick it up. Raul said it perfectly.
Mhm.
That Finn fight against Kylo in New Hope Awakens should have been less than 5 seconds. It should have been over. And I don't want to harp, and it's a dead horse and all that stuff. But even episode 5, with Ryan Johnson's The Last Jedi, we all lament, and this is the state of Star Wars, we all lament the embarrassment performance as Snook. They bamboozled every Star Wars fan because if you recall in New Hope Awakens, remember, if you go where you watch the movie, Snook is like it's like an AI. It's like he has a figure. Kylo's talking to him and he's over here. He looks huge. He looks powerful, and he's basically telling Kylo, "It's like, oh, you have yet to complete your training, whatever." And then in this one, he Last Jedi, he destroys Rey in 5 seconons. And you go ahead, Jay.
No, you go.
No, I'm gonna keep going. I'm already getting angry.
Finish
No,
it.
you're good. You're good. No, because again, I don't even agree 99. I agree 100. The Snoke thing.
Oh my god.
Star Wars has this trope where they always kill off their coolest villain, and okay, like I get it, but there comes a point where you might want to keep the coolest villain around, and that was Snoke. If they would have just kept Snoke alive, we might be having a completely different conversation right now because that dude was a goon.
Jay, put him for episode 9. Put him instead of Palpatine. Put him instead of Palpatine.
It's very simple.
And then have Ray. And then have
movie.
Ray go together with Kylo, who's been beefy for 2 films, or love, whatever the hell you want to call it, and then have them fight Snook, and then you will see an actual badass battle. But again, what happened in The Last Jedi? Guys, let me remind you, the only lightsaber battle, because I don't count the whole Kylo where Luke wasn't really there. That's not a lightsaber battle. He just tricked him. The only lightsaber fight that I saw in The Last Jedi was, again, where Rey and Kylo were fighting those security guards for Snook. And it was slow motion and all that. And it was a cool aesthetic looking thing. But Ryan Johnson basically said, oh, you guys want that? You ain't getting that. We're not giving you lightsaber battles in this fight. You're going to take that. Snook has to be, outside of Darth Maul, one of the greatest flops in Star Wars history. And I'm going to put up an honorary title also for Qui-Gon, because if Qui-Gon would have been in episode 2, it would have been a hell of a lot better film.
Eagle, I don't think we heard from
100%.
you.
No, listen, man. I think you guys covered everything. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my words, but I don't like the state of Star Wars right now. They better fix it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think right now they have to find a way. They've done some great stuff right now in the last, shows that they have, especially with Osaka coming out right now.
Yeah.
With the minor details, of course. Hopefully, this is a trajectory of them fixing it and putting it out and keeping, us unhappy Star Wars fans, and hopefully bring us back. So we'll see what they'll do. If not, like Raul said earlier, they're pretty much on the line right now.
Yeah.
So that'll be the all. Yeah, go ahead.
one quick thing. Let me just remind you guys, because 75% of us, I guess, don't like the state of Star Wars. Let me just remind you guys that, again, nothing against Daisy Ridley. Good actress, nothing against her. Guys, Rey, the character, is coming back from a film that's supposedly going to take place 10 years after Rise of Skywalker. And she's going to be training the new Jedi Temple. That's supposedly the story, if you want to believe. Gee, Jay, I wonder who did that in the books.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
Listen, I will never, ever, ever defend those sequels. I will not do it. I won't do it.
But Jay, that was to lead to your thing. Didn't you want that? Didn't you say that's the
one? Oh, that was an alley-oop? Okay, I got it.
Oh.
So, to me, if you want to fix everything, you have to use this multiversal thing. You don't have to necessarily undo any characters, but you have to undo certain storylines. So when you're looking at A New Hope Awakens, if they're ever going to retcon anything, they need to retcon that. Because when you're looking at people's dislike for Rey, to the kid's point, it's not that she's a girl or anything like that. It's the way in which she just magically knows how to use her powers. Once they did that, they did the character a disservice. They did the actress a disservice too. Because when you're looking at the cast that they had an entire cast of great actors and actresses, including Daisy Ridley. And she got the hardest time because of decisions that J.J. Abrams made. Going back to my original point.
Damn.
Undo that whole thing.
Damn. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, so full circle right there. So we'll go ahead and end it right here. Let us know what you think about the state of Star Wars down in the comments below. And while you're there, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this around. Shout out to everyone over here. This has been great. And shout out to Lanebot, who is the musician behind our theme song. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and come see us again here at Nerd Breaking News.